Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. So, today I would like to discuss regarding the iteration statements which we write in pseudocode. So, basically, iteration means uh, if you want to repeat certain things many times, okay, more than one time or twice, thrice, 10, any number of times we want to do something, we go for iteration. So, the main idea is for repeated task we will use iteration so that we don't need to write the code again and again. So basically we are having three types of iteration statement. One is for, to, next. Second is repeat until. Third one is while, do, and while. So these are commonly also known as loop structures. Now coming to this for, to, next, what we have to be considered is when we are writing the pseudocode, the letters which represent, it can also be known as keywords. Keywords are nothing but words which have predefined meanings, like this for, to, next, repeat, until. These have certain meanings. So those kind of words should be always written in capital letters. So on discussing about for loop, for will be in capital, to and next. These are the keywords which will make this work. So this loop works in a scenario like where we want to do some task, repeated task many times. For example, here when we are writing the pseudocode, for assigning we use the sign, the symbol is used. For example, if we are writing a to 1 means a is assigned with a value 1. So in this for loop you can see we are starting from counter. Counter is a variable and we are assigning a value 1 and to 10 is there. So this means that this statement need to be executed 10 times. That is starting from 1 to etc. up to 10. This need to be executed. So how this work is, once this enter the loop, we are having the variable counter and this value is initially 1. So when it is 1 it will enter here into this loop and output. This is a statement which will help to display on the screen. So what output is saying, it is asking to enter name. So on the screen you must imagine we are getting enter name. So we will enter some name here like Arya. This will be printed. So in the next statement we will have input. What this input prompt is, whenever input is coming we will be able to enter via keyboard. So we are entering a name like Arya and that will be stored in this array name of counter. So here it means name, counter value is 1. So name of 1 will be having the value Arya. So after that what this next does is it will increment the counter. So from 1 it will turn to 2. Okay. Then again enter name will be displayed and we will enter a second name like Suresh. So that will be inputted and next. So the counter will go up to 10. Okay. When it is 10 it will work. But once after the 10th name is entered, the counter will be then 11. Then what happened when this loop checks, it is not within the range of 1 to 10 and hence it will be executed. So it will be executed till 10 only. So this is how for loop works. So the point that is to be noted here is in for loop is executed when we know number of repetitions needed. So we know that this is to be executed 10 times. That is why we gave 1 to 10. So this is an important representation of important iteration. Okay. Now coming to the second one, it is repeat until. So as the name indicates, it tells us to repeat something until something occurs. So here this is where the repeat is starting and this is the until. Okay. So how this work is, it asks us to repeat to do these tasks. Whatever is under the task we will give after the repeat, you will be providing some space over here, and this is known as indent. So when we are writing the iterative statements like or conditional statements like if, when we write the code below it, we just put two spaces, and that is known as indentation. So this means that these set of statements are to be repeated. Okay. So now in this case, repeat until, what we have to do is, so this is a repeat until. So this is staying. Repeat this until the condition is true, not until. So whenever this condition is true, we need to exit this until. So we should do until mark is -1. So how this is working is, initially we have assigned total to 0 and mark to 0, as this is the assigning statements in pseudocode. So what it is doing is, it is adding the total marks, total plus mark, and output is asking us enter mark or -1 to finish this one. So in the first time itself it will enter. So here it is total is 0 and mark is 0. So here the total value will be 0. And again it is asking enter mark or -1 to finish up. So once this is displayed, next line we are having input mark. Suppose we are entering 45. So when we are entering 45, this mark is now having the value 45. So it will check the exit condition. Mark is -1. No, mark is not equal to -1. So this is repeated. So what happened then? Total, it will come to this place. Now the mark is 45 and total was 0. So what happened? These two will be added and total will be assigned with 45. Again this statement will execute enter mark or -1 to finish. So now suppose we are entering the mark as 30. Now it will check the condition. Mark is not -1. So again it will go. Now the mark is 30 and total marks was 45. So these both are added, and so 75 will be stored in total now. So total is having 75 now. Again this will enter mark or -1 to finish. Suppose we entered -1 now. So when you entered -1, input -1 until mark is -1. Now mark is -1. So this loop is getting executed. This loop, we will exit from this loop. Okay, so this is how repeat until works. Now the point to be noted here is that when we are dealing with repeat until, you can see that when we enter the statements, first statement, second statement, third, at one time this will definitely execute, because repeat, after the repeat keyword it will enter here and these lines are executed once, and only when we are leaving the condition is checked. And therefore this loop structure is also known as post condition. Post condition means condition is checked after it entering the loop. So once this is done, then condition is checked. It also known as exit condition. Condition is checked when it is exiting. So this is another type of loop structure. And here, as you know, we are unaware or we don't know how much time this has to be repeated. But in the for loop, it was the case like we know like this is to be executed 10 times, 15 times or etc. So this loop can be used when we don't know how much time it is to be executed. So this is the second type of loop structure, that is repeat until. Now third one is while, do and while. While is here, do is here and while is here. Okay. So how this works is, here there is a difference. While, when we enter the while, now coming to the statement, total is assigned to 0. So it is outputting enter value of mark. So just imagine the output on the screen. We will have this enter value of mark or -1. This will come, then this input mark. So we are entering 45. Now while is coming. So inside the while you can see, when we are entering itself, they are checking mark not equal to -1. This side is not equal to in pseudocode. Okay. And for equal to, we give equal to itself. For less than or equal to like this, greater than or equal to. this is not equal to. Okay. So here mark not condition is checked when it is entering. When it is going to execute these lines, condition is checked. So it will check. We entered the mark is 45 is not equal to -1. So if the condition is true, it do all these things. Do these things. So do. So we entered 45 and 45 is not equal to -1 and hence we enter here. So what it is doing, total is total plus mark. Now mark is 45. Total is 0 as assigned here. So 0 plus 45. Now the total value is 45. Okay. Now output it again. It is prompting to output enter mark or -1 to finish. So here it is again asking, suppose we entered 30. So now the mark value is 30. So again what happens? It will check mark not equal to -1. Now 30 mark is now 30 which is not equal to -1. So again it will enter the loop and total plus mark. Now total is 45 and mark is 30. So the final answer will be like 75 when we calculate. Then again output enter mark -1 to finish. Imagine we are entering now -1. So what happens? Input mark is -1. So the condition is checked. Mark not equal to -1. But mark is -1. So what happens? This we will exit. This loop is not executed and it is the end of the loop. So here as you can see, when we enter the while loop, the condition is checked and hence this kind of loop structure is known as precondition. Condition is checked before, prior, precondition, or it can also be known as entry controlled loop because whenever entering it is checked. So in repeat until condition was checked post or when we were exiting, and in while, do and while loop it is used when it is entering. So this also is used whenever we are unaware of or we don't know how much time it is to be executed. So these are the 3 types of loop structures. For to next, repeat until, while, do and while. So these are the important loop structures that can be used when writing the pseudocode.